Welcome back. You're watching Storyboard. The Innovation Group is JWT's in-house creative think tank that gleans consumer insights. It also offers a range of consultancy services that helps clients not only understand what's happening now, but it also helps them understand how to take action on the current trends in the framework of their brand. How relevant and useful is this concept in today's time? We get this answer from Lucy Green, Worldwide Director, Innovation Group JWT, and Maithili Chandrasekhar, National Planning Director JWT, as they speak to Storyboard Editor Anant Rangaswamy. Let's take a look.
Lucy, first let's demystify what is it that you do in your job.
So I head up the Futures and Innovation think tank at J. Walter Thompson. I'm essentially responsible for bringing the outside into our work, looking at cultural trends, sector innovation such as the future of retail, future of consumer technology, but also consumer change from a generational point of view, for instance, like teenagers. We've been doing a lot of work at and synthesize what that means to brands.
And so who makes use of your output? So you create all this data and these insights, and then what happens?
So we have a few functions. We work with the planning teams, and we work with creative, showing them work that we've produced in our research. We also work in a consultative function on specific projects with brands, looking at macro shifts in consumer behaviour, but also perhaps what's going on in their sector and adjacencies. So we've worked, for example, with some personal care brands in Asia, looking at consumer interviews, commissioning original data, working with planners, but also looking at what's going on in the creative space to create a multifaceted strategy based on all of that input.
Yeah. So Maithili, you get insights and data from her, or you create it in India based on the similar tools. Yeah. So how do your clients benefit from it, and how does your bottom line benefit from it?
Curating trends is very much part of the planning mandate for ourselves, as well as clients also expect us to constantly watch both consumer trends, products and services, packaging, category trends kind of thing. So they do the global work. It brings a journalistic perspective to an otherwise market research dependent community, which is the planning thing, and so they do it with a little bit of ethnography. There is data, and there is a multi-country perspective that we benefit from. Especially if you're working on global brands and say we already have a global brand idea that we are adapting, it helps us to understand how does that brand idea play out in that country. Are those trends the same here? So that's another perspective.
So tell me how smooth is this flow of information from Lucy to you?
It's very regular. It lands on our mailbox. It's there in a fantastic internal website. The question is, are we using it enough?
Right. Are you, and then are your clients using it enough?
Yeah, we share it. We share it regularly. We bring it out at the right time. Let's say we are getting into a workshop on creative spaces. I have personally found it very useful when we do product innovation pipeline thinking with our clients.
You see, tell me, you're sitting far away from India. How do you connect with India in the sense it's very difficult to do trend spotting and so on unless you're on ground. So explain to me how this works.
So we look at it from a very macro perspective, and we have a very internationalist approach. So it's the kind of approach is maybe what you would see in The Economist, for example, international in outlook, but we are based in New York, but we rely on the planners, the planner network within J. Walter Thompson, which is now, I think, 300 strong globally, to connect that to make it relevant within the market. But we take a very macro approach, like where things are happening first. So, for example, in retail, a lot of the trends that we cover tend to happen in America first, because it is very much streets ahead in terms of, say, delivery systems that we're seeing, although less so now, perhaps. But wherever it happens first, we cover it. So South Korean beauty, for example, is driving beauty trends on a global stage. And we're seeing that in general happen with trends, actually full stop, that trends are spreading much, much quicker thanks to social media and globalization, but also becoming more global in nature quicker.
Right, but tell me, are trends lasting as long as they used to? That's another thing. Or do you have to keep looking for trends at shorter time intervals?
Well, there's different types of trends, right? So faddy type trends like food, beauty, makeup, fashion, those kinds of trends that maybe might have taken like a year to reach critical mass, they are going from niche to mass really, really quickly and niche to international really, really quickly because of social media. It's made it exponentially faster. But our approach in our group is to really take a step back when we're looking at trends and sort of differentiating between what are more meaningful and what aren't, is to look at the bigger meaning of a trend and what the drivers are. So we might see an initial blip of something that is kind of interesting, but we always try and connect it to what the bigger sentiment is and whether we see that in consumers' minds becoming a bigger thing. So those tend to be slower moving beasts. So for example, sustainability becoming a differentiator between all different categories and the way consumers look at brands is becoming a much, much bigger thing and has been for a long time.
Right. Maithili, you know, you're probably the best planner in the country to talk to about this particular aspect, which is, you know, India is many Indias, you know, and the South thinks very differently from the West, thinks very differently from the East and from the North. So you've got to find trends for each sub-area, isn't it?
Yeah, but there are also commonalities,
sure,
right?
Sure,
and
sure.
Today with people moving within the country with intermarriages, so that itself is a trend.
Right.
So we specifically do what's happening in the South.
Right.
If we want a particular growth strategy for the
Right.
South.
Right.
But to add to what she was saying, let's say they are doing 100 things to watch, which they do every year.
Right.
They send it to the planning community, and like the 300 planning every day there are mails coming to us from. So they send it to us, and we then say, you know what, these 30 don't work for India, but there are these other 15 things that are happening in India which you may want to look at.
Sure.
So that's one
Which
thing.
is what I was just going to come to, Lucy.
Yeah.
So what is the flow of spotting, trend spotting and other things from your markets to your head office?
So we have a platform, jwtintelligence.com, which is a bit of an anomaly within the advertising space. J. Walls Thompson invests a huge amount of that, and all our research is also, I should mention, underpinned by original consumer data. We have a proprietary consumer survey unit that is able to tailor all of our research by market, to Brazil, to India, and by generation as well. So any trend that we cover, the market has the opportunity to localise it or localise the relevance. But JWT Intelligence is an open platform with daily insights, with show updates and trends on it, and interviews that all of the planning community, all of the creatives have access to, and actually all our clients have. So we have actually 50,000 subscribers to our newsletter alone. So all the planners are able to use that, but then we're also in dialogue with our network.
JWT has invested a lot of money on the planning side here, more than any other agency, I would think.
Yes.
So tell me how you justify your existence. There has to be, when I say that, I mean a lot of companies are cutting the planning costs because they say, you know, it's...
No, it's because JWT as an agency believes that we are here to make brands grow.
Right.
Via ideas. You know, it's ideas that can provoke significant growth for our brands. So it's the planning community that brings that growth-oriented thinking to this thing, and I mean, there's a lot of we're really valued, you know, both internally and externally.
Lucy, do you think it's possible that you would do the planning for a brand where they're more comfortable with somebody else doing the creative?
Yeah.
No, has that happened, and could it happen, Lucy?
Well, we in addition to J. Walter clients, we have our own clients. We've started being approached for strategy, packaging consultancy, consumer insights, completely outside of advertising now, which really speaks to the high regard which we're held in, which is really exciting to me. So more recently, for example, we've been working with a major global retailer on Generation Z, teenagers, and what the pipeline should be for them. So we are, if not a major revenue source, then a good door opener to get to new interesting clients.
Let's catch up again next time you're in India. And Maithili, next time we meet each other and talk about what planning does for your clients and how it contributes to the bottom line. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Maithili.
With that, it's a wrap on Storyboard this week. You can watch all our content on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back same time next week. See you soon.